Hey, what's going on, crew? Welcome back in, you guys. We are looking at a brand new map for Farming Simulator 22, Westby 4X. If you've been doing Farming Simulator for a while, you might recognize a little bit of this map. It's a recreation from Farm Sim 19, Westby, Wisconsin. Now this is Westby 4X. It's been redone by MB Farms FS Mapping and Photography. And of course, we've got a link down in the description to their Facebook group where you can download the files. Because to be honest, to install these, it's a little bit different now. Of course, this is a 4X map. It is a PC and Mac exclusive map. You will not find this on the mod hub. This will be an external download only. So let's talk about installing the map, shall we? So when you go ahead and download this map from their Facebook page, you're going to get two different files. First of all, you're going to get Westby, Wisconsin 4X zip. You're going to want to install that, of course, in your folder. And as well, guys, you're going to get the Westby buildings unzip. Now with this file, you're going to want to open this up and take every single one of these files and just throw those into your mod folder. All right, so you need the map, that whole thing, just take it in, put it in your folder, and then take every single one of these and put it in your folder as well. Now you're also going to need one other added thing in order to utilize some of the silos that are on this map, and that there is a silo blower. This New Holland F62B is a decent one. You can find this on several different sites. If you just Google search New Holland F26B Farm Sim 22, you should be able to find this one. I recommend downloading this one if you want to use these types of silos. Now, as for the map itself, you're going to get 133 fields on this 4X map. Now, the fields themselves are not purchasable individually. So for instance, when we look at some of these, you can see how they are all joined into different sections here. We've bought the full map, just so you're aware. They're all, well, fairly large districts almost per field, almost sections, as you can see here. So if we back on out, you can see each one of these little quadrants is an area. Now these quadrants vary in price. Some of the smaller ones are around $250,000 to $300,000, whereas some of the larger ones up here in the Northeast, you're looking at about $1.5 million. So there's quite a large range of prices for each of these quadrants. Just know that the way the fields are let up, they're not going to be sold individually. Now, you can notice as well that the fields are very unique in shape. You've got fields that run along inside fields that kind of contour maps. It's different. There's not too many fields that are, well, straight, square, and simple to run on. This is a very challenging map. A lot of larger fields, some of the ones over on the side here, 40 and 41 for instance, or even the ones up top. These are large fields that are very intricate and, well, something that even GPS is really not going to help you with, because you've got a lot of corners, narrower fields, because of the way these lands roll. And that's the reason why these fields are all like this for the most part. Now from the air up here, it's tough to tell. You just see that these fields are all kind of just cut across, and it looks like there's no rhyme or reason for it, but really there is. If you kind of go down below, let's go take a look at a farm down here. And as we kind of crest this hill from this little farmland, you can see that there's just this large open area, and the field lands are all down in the bottom there. Now there are also quite a few custom built, pre-built farms already on this map. In fact, it's a little bit tricky to count them all, to be perfectly honest. So we have a couple around the store. We have one off to the right here. We have another one off to the left. In fact, there's two technically right here side by side. As we scroll up a little bit further up, you've got another one on here. This is just a bunch of silos. There's no real farm that's built, but I mean, there's silos there that you could use that are ready to go. This isn't all a sell point up on the top, but once again, another silo that's up in that area. And then you've got a bigger farm off to the east side, and then the northeast has one more, and then one more just south of that. The rest are sell points, but you can see here, you've got cattle areas that are kind of out in the middle of a lot of these fields. And then down at the very bottom, you have, well, a bunch of silos all side by side down here. And then this area here is kind of one of the centerpieces of this map, which is a large cattle area, massive cattle barns right here. You've got a bunch of free stalls. There's a whole schwack load of them in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them ready to go, with a lot of cows you can stick in each. So let's start our tour right there with, well, all these massive cattle barns. If you want to go with a big cattle operation, well, I don't think there's any better place than down in this neck of the woods. You've got a lot of options down here for cows, a lot of space. And then, like I said, there's silos just over that hill down over there. You can kind of see a little bit of a red tinge to one of the barns down there, and then a bunch of silos there ready to go. So you've got a lot of space here to really push some cows, that's for sure. Now, before we look at the rest of the farms, here is Cherokee Feeds, which is, well, one of the main sell points. There's only 3 sell points on the map. There's not a lot of sell points on this one. In fact, many of the production goods you're not going to find on this map, so you'll have to place those down if you just so desire. But this one here has fuel. You've got some bale cells in the back. Of course, the main sell point at the back of this as well. This building is enterable and explorable, which is kind of cool. I always like when that happens. And you get in the back, there's a sell point right at the back here. And right next door to that, the John Deere dealership, your main store is right back here. Your vehicles will spawn here if not set to another location. It's got a fairly large open place if you want to put down, well, some vehicle sales or something to fill things out your own self. And once again, another enterable building, which once again, I always do like when guys do that. So let's start by going to the farm that's closest to our shop. So just to the east, we have a small farm here, a small cattle farm. You've got bulk fields all around, and then a cattle barn with some fields that kind of go down along the sides. Now, while we're here, we can take a look at, well, one of these pastures. So this is not the greatest example. I'll show you some more later on, but the map is filled with this style of pasture that's, well, connected to this barn in this case, and it's just a wide open pasture. This one's actually really small. This one is hard to believe, but this pasture is tiny in comparison to some of the pastures you're going to find on this map. And this one here is actually pretty big compared to some of the stuff you're going to find on other maps, of course. On this map, this one is small. But other than that, you can see you've got some silos. Of course, you're going to need some augers to use those. They are all usable, of course. Main cattle barn right there, the milking barn is good to go. The shop's good to go. Everything is good to go. So now leaving this farm, we're going to head straight to the west past the store to another farm. And once again, very similar in appearance to some degree. We'll scooch on down. There's the main road that goes towards the store in that direction. This one just has a massive silo system with a corn dryer attached, some smaller buildings on the outside, and then once again, another cattle pasture right here. Like I said, this one's fully usable again. So we might as well continue down to the east from our last farm. There is the previous farm. Here is the last one before we hit the edge of the map, the eastern edge. This is another large cattle operation. And I really do like this barn. This is, I don't think, a barn I've seen before. Once again, a small silo in the back. You've got a bunch of other cement silos, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But I did want to show off a little bit more of the cattle operations here. You can see the cattle operations extends from the barn out the doors down this little pathway on this particular farm. And then you can see the cows go all the way down and in below on this area, guys. They extend quite a ways down. Now, I've only got 60 cows in here. There is room for 80, so we can add a few more, but just a large cattle operation. You can see, well, the stall is wide open here, so the cows can wander around, and I do enjoy watching that happen. They can go all the way down and below and come back up again. I mean, you've even got some in the shed here. That's awesome. All the way down. Hey, look, one's coming up and saying hi. Now, since we're talking about cattle, just note that, well, we do have all the cattle that are activated back at the barn here that come down to this field. There's also this field on the left on this particular farm. There's an activation point here, which, well, it's more for beef cattle is the idea. And you can put these guys in here. We'll put 30 in here as well. And then you can see that they're going to populate this field all the way down here as well. So there's extra space down here for more cows. You got these ones going up on top to that milking station. These ones here are designed just for this external area down below here. And guys, if you look at the map, you can see we have cattle over here as well. You also have some over on this side. They're large open pastures for cows, and it's a lot. There's a lot of space for these guys. Now, before we move on to any other farms, let's talk about the silo systems built into the map. So, number one, you guys are familiar with these bins. Of course, you need to use an auger to load these bins up. Now, there is one change with these that caught me off guard, at least. I wasn't aware of this until the middle of a stream. Well, you need to open them up. Now, bring up your help menu. You can see right now there's nothing. If I come close to this panel, it's telling me there's a gate I can open. If we scroll up top, you can see it's closed. All right, let's open this gate and see what happens. Gate open. And now you can see we can put grain in the top of this. So you need to do that with, I think, all of the ones on this map. You need to physically come here and click on this panel in order to open or close this gate. Open and close the top part of the bin. Be aware of that. You will not be able to load it unless you have that open. Secondly, to use these fermenting silos, you will need something similar to that New Holland blower we talked about earlier. Now, in order to use these fermenting silos, you're going to need a couple of things. Of course, the blower itself. Now, This one's a little bit tricky because the hit point for almost all of these is really quite narrow. Let me just show you here. Oops, we can see it right there, that red box. There is not a lot of room for error right there. You've got to make sure you're pretty darn close to that pipe with the top of this in order for it to activate and know it's there. Now you'll need a tractor connected to it, of course, as well, and it'll need to be turned on. So let's jump on in. We'll let that fire up. Now you'll probably need to adjust your settings in order to have it so it stays on. You can't have your equipment turn off now either when you're not in it. And then lastly, of course, you'll need, well, some dry or full wet grass, I should say, some straight grass. And we're just going to simply go ahead and dump this in here. And this will go straight up. It'll auto rev up now. There we go. And you can see off the back, that's going up into our silo. Now, unfortunately, in the menu, you'll see this in the production chain, but I've bought every single on the map, so I see everything right now. We'll go down until I find one that's activated. Here we go. This here is the silo that's activated, of course, and it's got its incoming. We've got our grass is incoming, and that's going to turn that into grass silage. Works perfectly. There you go, guys. All of these work the same way, but it's a little finicky to get that blower in the right position. So that's enough of this farm. Let's head down this road, this little range road down here, and we'll head up onto the other side of that valley to the next farm. And there we go. One unique feature, this is the only, I think, white farm on this. It's not a red barn, it's a white barn farm instead. Other than that, very similar. You got some cattle pastures off to the side here. You can see the kind of wrap around in front of us. And then some barns. Same thing with a milking station up on the edge there. Same silo system. Very similar, just a smaller farm, all white buildings instead of the red. Now, since we're up in the kind of northern section, the northwestern section of this area, let's head straight north up to one of our other sell points. And you can see this up towards field 1, 2, 3, up in this neck of the woods here. That's where you're going to start finding some other sell points. We can go visit the Hilltop Grain right here. And you're going to see that, well, a lot of this stuff is fairly close by. There's your Hilltop Grain. And then just through the trees, you can see the rest of it. And here you're going to find Premier Co-op, which is, well, a sell point for bulk fertilizer, seed, lime, fuel, pretty much, well, all that kind of stuff. As well, the building is enterable here, which is kind of cool. We can kind of go inside here. You can walk around. Got a little bit of spice in the back here as well. Very cool. So as we leave our sell point to the north and kind of come back on down, this is the last farm we looked at. We go off to the east. We got two sections right in here that just have a bunch of bins, but no real pre-built farmlands. And you know what? Even if we look at the lands that are separated by, you can see, well, they're fairly indistinguishable. There's nothing really noticeable about these as far as actual farms go. And this here is the bottom one that follows right along the road. If we go on up, just through that tree line, you can see some more bins. That's where the other farm area is. I suppose you could make a farm off one of these. They're not really said to be farms, pre-built farms by any means. I'm sure you could build them into one, but just be aware that there's a couple of these as well. And then we're going to keep on going back towards the east as we got 3 more farms to go look at still. Yeah, we got to follow this road all the way over to that hillside over there. And now we're heading towards one of the larger farms around field 71 and 48. As well, you can see you've got, well, some cattle areas up to the north. You got some more that are connected down here that can be bought. But let's go right to the farm itself. Now, if you've been one of our live streams, this is the farm we've been using. It's, I think, one of the nicer ones for sure. Once again, you got some bins out front, a large cattle area, which is surprisingly big, along with some more sheds and just really interesting fields that kind of go around the sides of this farm. Some grasslanded areas that you can do some haying on. More, we got to talk about that in a sec as well. But let's focus a little bit on this particular, well, cattle area, because you do have, well, the barn itself, of course, and then this cattle area here. You think it's just here, just on the upside of this field, but it actually goes all the way down this here whole ridge and then all the way up that valley. You can find cattle all the way up that valley if you buy this area and put the cattle in this farm. They just wander around through that whole section. It's really quite interesting. You see cattle all over the place on this map when you start populating it all. I find it looks absolutely amazing. Now, just down straight south of that farm, so we're going to keep on going up to this one eventually, but we're going straight south to field 46 now. We'll go take a look at this one here. Very similar, a little bit of a smaller farm. You once again have, well, that same barn, the cattle barn, and another big open field for your cattle to go hang out in. I just love these fields, guys. They're absolutely, every single one of these farms has a nice big cattle field. You've got the bins once again set up. This one's actually kind of set up with a nice picket fences coming in. It's probably one of the nicer looking ones from the road. It's just a little bit smaller, but back across you can see that's the other farm we talked about just a second ago. And now let's go talk about our last farm. You can see this section up on the top here, guys. There's no farms really built up here, but there is fields up by 33 that do have some pre-built farms. And once again, very similar to, well, some of the stuff we've seen in other farms, right? Still, I mean, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but I love the cattle farms, the cattle pens they have set up here, the fields they've got set for cows. They all look great. They kind of go down into the lowlands, back on up to the farm again. So guys, that there is the last farm, which we just looked at. Like I said, there are some buildings like right here and here that go up and around the north. There's some buildings that are here. Nothing's really usable. So that there's the farm. These are some of the buildings I'm talking about. There's none of them that are really usable, and same with like this farm right here. It looks like it could be one, but none of the buildings on it are currently usable. And as you can see, as we look up to the north, just large tracts of land, large tracts of land, huge fields to work on, but nothing right now that you need to build a farm up here. You want to use it. But since I'm up here, let's head down to the last sell point, which you can kind of see on the horizon right there, which is another premier co-op. You've got some more bale cells in the back corner, and just another sell point right out in the middle that kind of towers over all the other buildings and other places on the map. You can kind of see it from all over the place, which is kind of cool. And that brings us back down to the main road that heads back towards the store and the main farms down that main road there. There's that large cattle area that we talked off the start. So that's kind of your map tour, guys. One other little side note, you're going to find some interesting little things out in the fields here. Some various little pipes that kind of stick up, little extra added details that, you know what, they look kind of cool, but I know they're kind of frustrating. Yeah, just watch out for these things with your harvester. I could see getting caught up on one of these with your header pretty darn easily, or one of these for that matter. Just saying. One other side note just to quickly mention, guys, is the actual detail on some of the crops, especially the grass. I mean, you have large cattle farms, so grass and haying are going to be a big part of your jobs on this map. And look at the grass they put on here. This grass texture, I don't think I've ever seen this grass texture before, but it is amazing. It looks so good. So absolutely love this. Have fun haying on this map. So there you guys go. That is Wisconsin, Westby 4X. Absolutely love this map. This is a great map, a 4X PC only map. Like I said, let me know down in the comments, guys. What do you guys think about this map? I mean, this seems like a multiplayer map through and through. You've got lots of farms to play with, lots of people, and it just looks like a great map to dig into a server. Really nice looking map. Really happy with this one for sure. So dive into this. Links in the description, of course. Go find this one on the Facebook page and go download this. Give this a shot, because this, for early on Farm Sim 22, this is definitely worthwhile. So, of course, with all that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Drop the like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you guys next time. This is Klutch. Over and out.